Oh, yeah.
Bless and love, my lords. Welcome to another live interview. I'm joined here by Godmin, the creator of Heaven Computer Project, and our co-host Dudley. How's it going? How are you guys?
Hey, hey. Good evening, good morning. All is well, man. I have to install like a red light LED panel in my room because waifu is not
Yes,
still used to. We're doing radio shows. So I was like,
I love
when
it.
you see red light, there is like a no entrance to the room. So basically, the red light is on all day long, and I'm all good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, Godmin.
Hello,
What an
Godmin.
absolute delight to welcome you here today with us.
Hello, thank you for inviting me to do this. It's very nice to be here tonight. I got a cup of coffee and a joint to join you guys. Oh,
I
sorry, wait
heard
the jump part.
I heard on a previous interview you are from Rio. Do you live there?
Yeah, I was born there and raised there.
Okay, all right. And you currently reside in Rio, or you don't wanna
No,
disclose?
it's okay. I'm currently in Portugal. So it's basically,
Oh,
I'm in
wow.
Lisbon. So it's basically the
Mm.
Rio of Europe.
Yeah, I love Portugal. I spent my early 20s in Portugal and has a special place in my heart.
And we'll have coffee and joints too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I let's start by we will not dive too deep in to your whole origin stories. I have went around. I did my research on you, and there's plenty of interviews where you explain the whole trip. But let's give a quick TLDR from your point of view, how you started, how you got into the space, and yeah, who you are a little bit.
Well, how I started what? Like Web3
Like
or just
how you
make
started with crypto and bringing your art over to the crypto and NFT space. And yeah, I guess you can start with your web development
right. Yeah, because I think
phase
one
before
thing
that. Yeah,
leads to another, right? One thing leads to another. Okay. So
yeah.
I started ever since I got my hands on a computer, I've had the curiosity to understand how everything that I was interacting with actually worked, and especially websites. And I think web development is a entry to a lot of programming for a lot of people. So, and that's how I got my start. At the time, I was very young and very interested in making pixel art. So I always wanted to have some sort of a website or ecosystem in digital ecosystem, let's say like compromising of several websites and I don't know, anything I can create to display my art. And that's what I've been doing since I was like 9 years old or something when I started making like pixel art. And, you know, I obviously changed my tools a lot and experimented with lots of different kinds of digital art and also non digital art throughout the years. And so when I learned about crypto first, I was obviously with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general. It was very intriguing to me, but not exactly something I wanted to pursue necessarily. And it wasn't until I saw generative art being made with NFT, more specifically, the ones like created by Lava Labs, CryptoPunks, is it autoglyphs? I'm sorry, I mean, yeah, autoglyphs.
Yeah,
Um,
autoglyphs.
yeah, so those like really intrigue me because I've been making glitch art for, I don't know, maybe almost 10 years now. And so if you know what glitch art means, it's just like basically corrupting digital files or not just digital files, but the way I did it was mostly corrupting digital files for an artistic outcome. So when I saw that being made with blockchain, I saw obviously very intrigued about using blockchain as the medium for that kind of art. And yeah, and so that was around 2019 maybe, or early to 2020, and that's when I started working on Heaven Computer. I would say it took me like 18 months to, from the moment I actually started, I wrote my first line of code for it until the moment I deployed. Yeah, and that's how we ended up here.
Mm, when you started writing your project, NFTs were pretty much not in the spotlight. And while you were developing it, there was a massive boom for NFTs. How did that affect you? Did you feel any FOMO? Were you thinking, "Oh, I need to finish everything so I can launch"? So how was it for you?
Oh, absolutely. Because, first, obviously NFTs were not a thing, but I saw a lot of potential for it. So I think actually the boom in NFTs made me uh lazier, because if I look at I know that's a bad way to put it, but like if I look at my plans that I had when I started out, if I look at the drafts and those first sketches you make for a project, like from May 2020, there was a lot of ideas on how to onboard people into NFTs. Meaning, I thought about like having NFC chips, those that I would ship out with like custom made floppy disks in order to help people understand. I don't know. I had all these ideas because the idea was that I knew there wasn't mass adoption, so I wouldn't be able to just sell it to people that were selling NFTs. I wanted to brainstorm ways of selling it to people that were not in NFTs, but obviously as the project progressed, the adoption just naturally happened. And I thought it would eventually, but I didn't think it would happen so quickly. And then I feel like the moment I realized that I did not have to work on any onboarding people from outside because it was already happening naturally was when, I don't know, like YouTubers like Logan Paul started doing it. And then is it Logan Paul, Jake Paul? I don't know, one of these, or Jake Logan. I don't know what's his name. But yeah, he was doing like NFTs, and then I saw, okay, now I have absolutely no need to even think of a marketing strategy, because at that point I knew that perhaps the bull market would have been marketing enough. And that's kind of what happened. Like my project had zero marketing, but initially I did think of a whole strategy involving shipping out physical art and creating, quote unquote, a utility. But um, that wasn't necessary.
Yeah, I first found out about you and your art through the Heaven Computer Mint, but me, as many people, really didn't understand what exactly you have created here. So basically, Heaven Computer is the project, right? And then you have different applications that run on this website slash operating system that is Windows 98 based, right?
Yeah, so like having computer as it is, if you, it's kind of I don't know, maybe it is a bit complex because as you said, it's like this OS that is having computer, and then it has the apps that are the collections inside of it. So the first collection was GhostSoftware, the second collection GodObserver, and so there's like it's supposed to be this OS and all these other applications and software inside of it, but it's like I said, it's the website you see and everything as complex and rich as it is. It's also a very toned down version of what I initially wanted to do, because my initial idea even involved like creating hardware, because I love playing with Raspberry Pis and Arduinos and like modifying the hardware to create something new, like I don't know, transforming an old radio into a Bluetooth speaker, and that, I don't know, is also a projector. I don't know, hacking hardware. And so the initial idea would be to also have a computer accompany some of my hacked hardware. But I never ended up doing. But I don't know, I could still do it. I don't see why not, because it all adds
Mm.
to the universe of that is having computing, right?
You know, I love the approach and the idea for a project is very fresh and very um not not usual because like you see on the NFT space there's a lot of copying and there are a lot of derivatives. So when there are like super fresh concepts and fresh projects that take a different perspective, it is really really nice to see. And recently we had Mitchell F. Chan on the show, and his most recent drop was a video game you could buy, and you were basically inside that painting was a video game. It's an absolutely great concept, and
Is it the
it really
croquet?
reminds me. Sorry?
What is it? Is it croquet challenge?
Yeah, yeah, the
It's really
croquet
cool. I played
challenge.
with it. I recommend
Yeah,
it. To go check
yeah.
it out.
Benjamin kicked my ass, or what was his name? But yeah, it really brings that into mind. It's is similar, not it's it brings it to mind, you know, because on your project here you have built like a whole computer, and then this is the artwork basically, but it has also every application. It's a collection. It's a really unique take. How did you come up with the inspiration to create something like that?
Um, I'm not sure how to come up with things. I guess like as artists, we just take inspiration from everything that meant a lot to us. And like for example, you asked me where I'm from, and I say I was raised in Rio, but it's not entirely true. I was mostly raised on the internet. So to me, that's everything that is pertaining to it. Like my computer, everything just feels like home. And I guess I just want like I never felt like I wanted, like I don't didn't want to create anything for anyone else, just maybe a place that I can call home. And I go on my website and I feel good because the colors soothe me, the aesthetics are remind me of a simpler, nicer time of my life. So yeah, I guess that's where it comes from. Maybe wanting to I just like to create things that are soothing to me somehow, even if they are a bit disturbing, because a lot of people also say that the ghosts are a bit disturbing, and also maybe the god observers as well. But I don't know, I find them very soothing.
All right, but you said that as inspiration, whatever inspires artists, whatever is around us. Okay, but what are some glitch artists that you appreciate and that inspired you?
So there's one that is very famous here on the Web3 world, that is Sarah Zucker. um I don't know if you guys heard of her, but she's quite popular. I really like her work. Tachyon
Sarah
Splash.
Zucker. Let's try to find some work and pin it up there. Dudley, if you can. Yeah, please go ahead.
She's called the Sarah Show. That's her Instagram. Um, yeah. So Tachyons Plus, they do like work with analog glitch art that I really like. Um, um. Well, I here like there's a lot of people that have migrated into Web3. But now I'm kind of blanking. But yeah, the first person that came to mind was Sarah and Tachyons Plus. So I'll stick to that. I'll save that. But there's way more people.
I will definitely check them out. Um, on on your work, you show us glimpses of analog and digital ghosts, and your work doubles a lot with astronomy and astrotheology. So where did that influence come from? Where were you always interested in that, or how did that spill over to your work?
Yeah, I was always interested in that. I think, like how every kid, when they ask the kid, like, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they say astronaut. Like, I kind of carry that with me onto when I was, in my senior high school year. And then I ended up studying that in university because I really wanted to be an astronaut. But then I realized it's probably easier to just make art that makes you feel like you're in space than actually going through the whole process, I guess. And then I dropped out of university from at least astrophysics. I'm not studying that anymore. But uh, yeah, I guess maybe I'm more of an artist than a scientist. That's what I wanted to get at. And then I like the science, but maybe I like to apply it in a more artistic way than scientific.
You mentioned that you studied and you dropped out. That happened 6 times, you mentioned in another interview. What
Yeah.
were the courses that you dropped out of?
Um, okay. So it started like with astronomy and then geophysics and then mechanical engineering and then performing arts and then software engineering. I think that's it. Uh,
Wow,
well, I
that's
never
such an
graduated.
interesting mix. I don't know where
My,
to start.
my CV is embarrassing. Like I have to, well, I never graduated from any of those, but I like to say that if I could combine them, I would have a very unique degree. And like some people think they're completely unrelated. Like, why would you like do astronomy and then arts and then uh software engineering? But then you look at my work and maybe it makes sense. I don't know.
um, do you believe in God?
um sorry, my if I believe in God.
Yeah.
As per most religions' definitions, no. If
Okay.
like like I believe there is perhaps a force that can be described as God, but it's not in a religious sense. Perhaps it's
Okay.
more. I also believe that science and religion are not necessarily, they clash a lot. Like there's a lot of conflict, but I don't think they're necessarily a bad thing. There was a time when they were like you can argue that there were darker times in history when religion were interfering with science, but also even in prehistory we always used of some sort of creationism to explain that which science cannot explain. And so I think if you could look at religion as being some sort of just like a some sort of like human imagination way to fill the gaps, then I think that could be a fun way to look at religion. And so I see as God as everything that we cannot explain fully yet with science. Maybe that's it. I don't know if I put it very well.
That reminds me of a quote. I don't know who said it. Let's say Joe Biden. That uh, advanced technology, super advanced technology is indistinguishable from, sorry, I'm butchering the word, from
Yeah,
magic. So yeah, something like that, I guess, right?
exactly. I like that quote. And
Yeah,
yeah,
it was by Joe
something like
Biden.
that.
Why Godmin then, the name?
Well, because the name of the project is Heaven Computer, and I thought, like, who is in charge of having God, and who is generally in charge of the computer? The admin users. So I thought, Godmin, God and admin.
Mm. That's what I thought when I was reading it, but I was like, yeah, maybe there's another explanation there. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, you said you saw your first website when you were around 7, 8, and you wanted to copy it. Which website was that?
My sorry, that I made my first website.
No, you saw the first website you ever saw on the internet around 7, 8 years old, and then you wanted to copy it. Which website was that that
Oh, I
gave
don't
you
know. Did
that
I say
original
that?
enthusiasm? Yeah,
I
I
don't think
heard
I
it.
remember the first website I ever saw.
Hmm.
Well,
Okay,
I don't know.
maybe it was something like that. Which one was the first website that you saw and got you super enthusiastic about the internet?
Maybe it was the space school space bus. I forgot the name. Do you remember that cartoon that also had a CD ROM with it?
Which one?
Space Magical School Bus, I think that's what it's called. I remember that website, but I don't know if that was it. I think that's the earliest memory. I don't know if I said that ever. Oh, maybe I should stop smoking weed before I give these interviews.
No, I am smoking right now. I'm also having trouble concentrating and
Because
smoking and
oh my god,
talking,
my
but I will
memory is
never
so
stop
fucking bad.
smoking.
My memory is so bad. It's hilarious.
Yeah, Um, well, when you came into the NFT space, you had front end experience, developing experience. But what about contracts and Web3 work? As you said earlier, right now it's much easier, but when you came in, it was much harder. Do you regret that you put in the extra effort, or are you a little jelly of how easy you guys have it now?
um I don't know. I don't regret putting in the effort because I learned a lot. Obviously, I think I could have done the same, like put out the contract without having to learn Solidity nowadays. But I don't regret that I learned Solidity. I think it was important, just like not just for learning the language per se, but to understand, everything exactly. Because I honestly, maybe this is a hot take, but I don't think just because you uploaded art to OpenSea, you're necessarily a crypto artist, because I find that not very different from uploading a photo to Instagram. I think some knowledge or some interacting with the blockchain, I don't know, is necessary for you to be a crypto actual blockchain artist. But that's perhaps not a very popular opinion. So, yeah, to me, it was very important that I understood Solidity. And like I said, I was initially drawn to it because of autoglyphs. And autoglyphs essentially is like making art with the smart contract. So it was a no brainer that I would learn the contract. I do sometimes say like that I wish perhaps I wouldn't have spent 18 months building the website and the smart contract. Like a lot of people say that the website is their favorite thing about their project, but I also think that if I had perhaps spent a little less time on it, like 2 months, I could have deployed earlier and have been the first like female project. By some people say mine is the first completely female project in Ethereum, but I don't know. I could have dropped it maybe 2 months earlier and gotten the first flex that is apparently so important in NFTs. But to me, being the first wasn't as important as me obsessing over the minor details as I generally am. So it's a compromise, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it is a great project, and the way you brought it out, it was really fun and engaging. The website is super cool. Why did you do it on Windows 98? Why did you choose Windows 98?
Well, because that's what I had growing up. If I had a Mac OS, I probably would have made a Mac OS. I actually really wished I had grown up on Mac OS because they just look slicker and nicer than Windows, in my opinion. Those from back then. But that's what I had. And that's what speaks to me. So that's what I wanted to create.
Yeah, and for whoever hasn't visited the website, it's a great experience, and everybody should visit it. You know, even you see the cursor even has a little tail on the back. I love that. I mean, that takes you back, right? We also did that on our new website, but it's really fun to watch. I love it. And on your work, you are changing audio to video and video to audio. How does that work? How do you do that?
Ah, I was saying on God Observer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so God Observer has several layers in which I process a video file. And some of it is like taking the so a video file is like made of mainly two different types of frames. Some of these contain the color information, and other these contain the movement information. So basically, some frames are just moving the colors around to create the motion. They just move the pixels around, and these frames that contain the motion information, they're just like a bunch of vectors, like from algebra, like vectors. And then vectors are just values, coordinates, let's say. And then one ways I process that is I mess around with these vectors, like I mess around with the values of them. You can like multiply, divide, blah blah blah, and then you create a very interesting effect with the motion. That's one way I glitch it. But there's another layer, for example, is I will take this same video and I will use a command line converter to transform it into audio. And then as you take a video and you transform it into audio, you can apply audio effects to it. So for example, reverbs, phasers, and stuff like that. And once you apply an audio effect to a video data, it's almost as if you have a visual representation of like what a reverb or echo would sound like. So you get these very unexpected artifacts on the video. So there are several layers in which I alter the video. So it's all about just basically taking the video data and messing around with it as much as I can, like to create unexpected effects. I'm sorry if it got too technical. I don't know how else to
Yeah,
explain.
because you also have to glitch it, right?
Yeah, because glitching is basically that. It's just taking the data, the raw data of a file, and then doing anything with it. Um, and as long as it obviously outputs visually appealing results. And that's the biggest challenge with glitch, because obviously you can break anything to any level, but to break it and make it still look like art is the big challenge. And so coming up with the algorithms for this project in particular was a bit difficult, and it's tricky, especially for a generative collection, because these are created on Mint. I'm not curating in any way the results. So you have to make sure that even the unexpected will still look good, and it's a challenge. I don't know if I fully succeeded in it, but I would say, yeah, with it's for glitch art, generative art is it's at least unique, you can say that.
What I like when I went to God Observer, there was a banner that said "I am a winner" and it's not a joke. Uh, there were a lot of flashing lights, and I don't know, it seemed really convincing. So I clicked through and I actually sent a transaction. That was
Oh,
amazing.
yeah, that's like an airdrop. And I think airdrops, are just like these prizes that you win. Like, I don't know, I thought it would be funny to do an airdrop with the that says like, "Oh, you're the millionth visitor. Here's an iPhone 4."
Yeah, or a single mom like 2 blocks away.
Yeah, that was.
Um,
I bet you clicked on that one.
yeah, that's great. But this was the first time I actually got something cool out of one of those pop-ups. I thought that was very, very smart. I got the CD-ROM from it, so I think it was really, really cool. Um, yeah, I love that. You mentioned that when you were young, you used to do pixel art. What do you have still the art that you were doing there, and where did you publish that art?
um, actually, it's like there is a fun fact about me that if I share, I would dox my real name. But there
Hmm.
was a very popular website in Brazil in the early 2000s. It was just dolls.com.br, and I was part of the official team. So I was like a daily contributor just making art for them. And but the problem is I use my real name there, so I don't want to actually show. Well, maybe I can well, I just fucking did it, and then I think I just doxed it. Well, um yeah, well, so oh, okay, I used to make like web comics with those like pixel dolls that were very popular in the early 2000s. Maybe more girls remember that than the boys.
How old were you when you were making those?
Like I started like at 8 or something, and then I kind of outgrew them when I was like 12. And then I started making more like advanced like art with like Photoshop. That's when I also started dabbling with video editing and more advanced stuff. But yeah, that was a big part of my childhood actually.
So were your parents like encouraging you to do more digital stuff, or how did you get into it in such a young age?
Not really. Like none of my parents are artists and none of them actually think art is important for life. So they never really encouraged it, but my father did encourage me using the computer. Like he liked that I was very interested in it, and he, allowed me to use it as much as our phone bills would allow back in the day. But there was not
With a
actually.
dial-up connection, right?
If anything, there was a discourage. They did it. They discouraged it because, like, there was this thing that parents would be like, "Oh, get off of your computer and go play with the kids outside," and then you go play with the kids outside, and like, "Oh fuck, these kids suck. I wish I were at my computer."
Yeah, fuck these kids, they suck.
Yeah,
Back to video games.
yeah,
But that's so true. I mean, like, how can like the outside compare with video games? Video games are so much more interesting, you know. And study after study is showing that video games, for especially for young people, they are super good for many, many reasons, and probably it should be the way we learn stuff. I mean, like every teenager that plays video games knows every single gun and their bullet and their diameter, but they know nothing about the shit that they teach in school. So maybe they should change the way they teach it. I don't know. But
yeah.
yeah,
I will
it's
say that video games is a huge part of the reason why I'm able to speak English today. And if you ask, and that's especially true for Brazilians because English education of English in schools, even in private, like you have a private tutor, it's not that great. But if you ask most Brazilians that you meet that actually speak good English or decently, they'll probably tell you that they learn from video games. So, yeah, I do think they can
what?
be very
I
educational.
was about to ask what video
Yeah,
games you like or you played or you enjoyed that
yeah.
form your maybe art forms and stuff.
Yeah,
All of my
like
questions in reserve.
when I was younger, I played a lot of Nintendo 64, and then I stopped playing with consoles and more like online games,
Mm.
um, like MMORPGs and stuff like that.
Mm. I was playing a lot of Mario Kart on Nintendo 64, and
Yeah,
then
and so
the
yeah, I
Golden Eye.
recently got I actually stopped gaming for a large portion of my adult life because I thought I don't know, I just don't have time for that, but I recently decided to spoil myself more. Maybe it's because I'm growing older and I'm realizing that my days in which I can just like without any responsibility just play video games are kind of running out. So I bought a Nintendo Switch and I'm playing like Zelda Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart, Mario Party. I just bought a new game today that was recommended to me, but that's a recent thing. I actually hadn't been gaming for a really long time, and I was kind of proud of myself. I felt like a grown up, but I decided, like, growing up is overrated, whatever.
Have you
Yeah, Nintendo has something that, no matter if you jump on it after 20 years, it still feels like bicycle, it feels like yesterday. You can still understand how everything works.
That's so
And
true.
Nintendo Switch, it's so cool. I really have to get one. But also, I'm like you. At some point, I was playing a lot of video games, and then I kind of like paused it. I had my go at being a professional, and then I slowly got back into it.
Was that your actual goal in life to be a professional gamer?
No, not a professional. I was I left like I wasn't playing as many games because I was trying to be a professional in what I was doing.
Oh,
I
okay.
was
I
I
thought you
was
wanted to
sailing
be a
boats.
professional in gaming. Well, if you wanted to
No.
be a professional in gaming, you wouldn't have to quit. So
Ah, no, I suck. I'm one of those guys that
you suck.
loses by a lot of points and then shouts the loudest. My
Yeah.
brother wouldn't play much with me because of that. But yeah, I used to do that. What is your next project looking like? What is your goal in the space? How do you see the near future for Godmin and Heaven Computer project?
Yeah. So the thing with having computer is that I wanted to create it as to become like my portfolio of all the work I make. So for as long as I'm alive, I will be creating things, and so it will probably all go under having computer uh project. And so currently I'm working on a few things. Um like I think I mentioned earlier that I like to create hardware. So there's some I also working on some interesting hardware physical pieces that I might also sell as an NFT in the future. I'm also working on creating a collection. I don't want to talk
So
about the
you will
thing.
be doing, so you, sorry, you will be doing those physicals by hand, one by one yourself?
No, I don't think that's doable, right? If I want to create it large scale, but I'm building some prototypes of some cool stuff right now. Yeah, I spent a lot of money on a lot of like Raspberry Pis and sensors and a lot of things to create that. And I don't know, I'm going crazy building a lot of stuff. I don't want to say exactly what yet because I'm paranoid of people stealing my ideas, but that's something that could happen, but I don't know yet. It happens if I will create a prototype that I'm happy with, and then if I can create it in like produce it, not mass produce it, but at least enough to sell a few as an NFT. Who knows? But that's one of the things, right? There's a potential collab with a very big NFT project in the horizon that I don't want to disclose yet because I don't like talking about things before, they're signed. but
Hmm.
that's something we can look forward to. Yeah.
Oh, so there is a big announcement coming up, right?
Yes, hopefully. Yeah, I mean, the thing is with me, I'm always creating stuff, but I also take a long time. I mentioned a few times during this talk that it took me 18 months to put out Heaven Computer, but it's because I like to be very thorough and very, a lot of attention to details in the things I do. But I promise that once it comes out, it's going to be amazing. And that hopefully I will reward the supporters of having computers somehow.
Um, oh man, I was just thinking, like physical, you buy like an old computer that has your OS inside it, like you made it, and it's like this is the artwork, and it's contained, it's not online. That would be super interesting, or I don't know. Hearing you talk about your work and all of that is super exciting. I can't wait for those physicals. When are they coming out?
um, so I think well, I'm in the early stages of development now
Mm,
for the physicals yet. But yeah, I don't know. I think it could even be. I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want to say what it is, but
mm,
it could be its own thing. I don't know, depending on how cool it turns out. I feel like that's the kind of thing that the internet would embrace. It would go viral and the internet would embrace it, not just Web3 people. If it turns out the way I'm envisioning it. But we'll see. I'm like so restless. I'm always doing things.
yeah, I can tell. I'm getting excited for this.
Yes, get
Uh,
excited, but
yes.
not too much because it might still take a while. So like, curb your
Well,
enthusiasm.
I have my heaven I have my CD-ROM. I have my Ghost software. I think I am ready for the physical now.
Yes, cool.
100%. Um,
Thank you for getting excited with me.
um, uh, for 2023, what would you like to see more happening in the NFT space, and what would you like to see less?
Well, I would like for it to be more as to as what I envisioned it to be, as in this transparent space where creators are fairly rewarded for their work. So I would like to see less of the not paying artists properly or lying about part like if it's an ad or influencer shilling projects that and pumping and dumping, other. But I don't think that's a realistic goal. We can hope though.
Yeah. Well, uh, the NFT space for everyone means something different, I guess, for these people, it can mean fast money or scams, but it's definitely uh, not the majority. I think like as everything starts, it's a little bit clunky at the beginning, but it will definitely get better.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I am a relentless optimist myself,
I
so
am
I don't
I
know.
am very critical of the culture and I'm trying to be
Mm.
less like, but I am like I just criticize it a lot, but regardless, I still am a big believer in the technology and its potential for innovation and so I still am a firm believer in Web3 or whatever that means, so at least blockchain technology, and I will continue to learn about it and work with it in any way I can. And yeah, still here.
You mentioned you mentioned earlier about um in Web3, artists getting paid fairly, and Web3 enables that. Um, just to be devil's advocate here, even in traditional art, and as everything in nature follows the something like the 80/20 rule, where 80% of the profits and the money are made by 20% of the artist. And that translates to any business, everything in nature, from bees to, I don't know, stock market to like 20% of your customers are responsible for 80% of your revenue. So, how would it be possible, practically to effectively have artists fairly compensated?
So
I
the
don't
thing
think
is,
it's
I
possible.
so that's it. So the thing is, when I heard about blockchain technology, my immediate thought was like, for example, a Spotify, a decentralized Spotify service, for example, wherein every time you stream, you don't have to go through Spotify to then Spotify, like you don't pay your money to Spotify so that then Spotify, arbitrarily splits these royalties amongst the creators of a track you're streaming, right? My idea was that you wouldn't have to go through a service like that. You would automatically do that, and that could be for everything. Like you would watch a movie, and then automatically you would transfer the royalties to everyone, like the makeup artist, the lightning artist, everyone that participated in creating a movie would go instantly to them. That's how I kind of envision it could work, because the technology does offer that, but I I didn't account for the fact that there's still humans that are creating these contracts, and then you still need a human to enforce these rules and laws. So that was that's I think the technology is there, but I do think that there needs to be some sort of regulation along with it.
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, you're right. There's not going to be only solo output, there's going to be huge industry and complex productions that require a lot of people. And this can be done transparently. I also, I have been screaming into the abyss all alone on Twitter, sometimes typing down that it cannot be that, all these YouTubers and and people who are creating videos basically, and they are being creative, their only revenue source is by shilling some fucking mattress or Raid Shadow
Yeah,
Legends or some
and
some bullshit. I think it's
it
so
wasn't like
degrading,
that before. If you think of the start of how YouTube worked, you would get like the creators would directly get the revenue from the ads, and then they started having these companies that would buy these ads and then resell them, so the YouTubers would have to actually go through a company that would do the ads. So it became more and more centralized, but initially it was like that. The creator would get it directly, the money for the
Mm.
ads, and
But my
now
point
there's
is
no ad
why
money.
advertisement? But
Yeah,
my point is why advertisement?
that's a recently new development for YouTube. They Before that you could get just from ads. Oh, you mean
Yeah,
like why have ads in the first place?
yeah, like why, in order to be a YouTuber, the only way you can make money is if you can like tell people to go buy Raid Shadow Legends, and you can only make money from, I don't know, this kind of bullshit, pushing stuff to
Yeah,
people,
like
you know. You can push
yeah.
your own NFTs, your own art, your own digital environment. I don't think that the future will be looking like this. It will cost a lot of money, or most of these people that have influence and attention will not be selling it for someone else's product, just for money. Or I don't see it as viable.
Yeah. So that's these are the things that I thought like maybe blockchain could help. For example, I would much rather I would much rather just pay directly a YouTuber like 20 cents or whatever they're making from me watching that ad than me having to sit through a very creepy ad for tampons that I'm like, how do you know I'm having my period right now?
The creepy ad.
Yeah, like how did you know that?
Yeah, that's true. Some ads are so creepy, man. Yeah. Uh, but
Exactly.
yeah, I think things are going to change, and this is what we are also promoting, you know. The YouTubers can also be making their own NFTs, their own digital products, and we see some of that already happening on Web 2.0 with Patreon, and but it's not quite there yet. I mean, like you need to be a really hardcore fan to go make a profile on Patreon just to send $1 a month to some dude you like to watch. I mean, like it can happen, but I don't see it as the main. Um,
Yeah,
I don't
but
see it happening,
yeah.
as mainstream. But like buying a small NFT after like a couple of months, you're watching someone. Why not? You know.
Yeah. So, I don't like wasting my time in things that I don't think there's any future for them. And I've spent a lot of this bear market and a lot of the crisis with the NFT culture as a whole, thinking about whether this is something I want to be dedicating the next years of my life to, whether that's something I want to be a part of. And
Okay, we are back. Apologies for the Twitter rag. It happens. Twitter just is very unstable. Yeah, we were just. Can you hear us?
yeah, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, apologies. It's the Twitter is so unstable. It rugs us
Yeah,
sometimes.
aren't we all?
Yeah. So, where can people meet you and connect with you online? Where is your community? Where do you hang out?
Well, I'm every day I'm on my Discord, so if people wanna like actually talk to me directly, that would probably be the best place. It's just having computer Discord, just discord.gg/having computer. You can also follow me on Twitter at heaven_computer. Yeah, on the website having.computer.
Yeah, that's great. I love it also so much. All right, that's awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time and being
Yeah.
here with us today. It was an absolute pleasure getting to know you and getting to chat with you.
Yeah, I enjoyed it very much. Thank you so much for the invitation and for
All right.
listening.
All
Thank you.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you,
So,
Daddy. Thank you, Red Lion. Bye bye.
cheers. Bye. Thanks everyone for listening. This has been another great interview. We are continuing tomorrow with our Founder Fridays. We have Nima from Layer. See you all tomorrow. Bye bye.
Bye bye.